So we're going to talk about geometric transformations. We're going to first start about the nature of this thing. There are several different transformations. The one we're going to be focusing on today is what's known as a translation. Translation is oftentimes known as a slide. That's the effect that it has when you do this. So we're going to first try to make ins or outs of acknowledging the difference between an X and a Y. An X value, of course, is the left to right movement across the X axis, and the Y value is the up to down movement across the axis. So keep that in mind as we work these through. When we say left, right, up, down, think about the variable that it's referring to. So when we look at this, it says that the image has a point on -7, -2. After the translation, that would be a slide, left 5 units and down 4 units. What would be the location of this point? Okay, again, left 5 units. We just got to keep in mind left refers to the change in X. Down and up refers to the change in Y. So this is how much we're going to change X and how much we're going to change Y. So if we're moving left across the x-axis, we are going to interfere with the number -7. Remember, running left to right, we are going to move this thing 5 units to the left. So left is always going to be a subtraction of that number. So it's a subtraction of -5 or -5 from already -7. So our new X value will be at -12. And on the other hand, our Y value, which started at -2, is also going down, which is also on the Y-axis. The way we go down is to subtract from the Y values. So if we go down 4 units from an already -2, the new location of this point is going to be at -12, -6. We're taking a look at a second example of these because it's very important to understand. Are we changing the X or are we changing the Y? Left, right, up, and down. So as we look at this example, it says the image point is at 2, -5, translated right 4 units. Remember, that is a change in the X value, and up 3 units. So as we move right on our x-axis, what we are changing actually is a +5. We're going to add 5 because left is minus, right is plus. So our new location of our previous point at 2 will now be at 7. And then our other point is up 3 units. So it's up 3 from where it was, and then up is going to be adding to our value. Just be careful on these. The hardest part is really just keeping your plus and minuses separated. Should I have a negative and a positive becoming a negative? What does it equal? So in this case, the -5 is already larger than the 3, so our new point is going to be at 7, -2. That's our relocated point. All right, as we look at these transformations, now we're actually transforming figures. We've got the idea of changing points and how this happens. Now we're going to change our figures. Now, make sure you always read your instructions well. Determine which translation would map figure V, that would be the one on the left, onto figure W. Don't think, it's not like reading where you have to go left to right, or the letters don't even have to necessarily be in order. Just read the instructions, see what it says. In this case, it is left and the one on the right, and V does come before W, but that has nothing to do with these. Always read these instructions. So here we go. What I'm going to do is pick any point on the figure, and then I'm going to pick the corresponding point on the second figure. Now, these figures have not been rotated. All we're working on today is translations. So what we're going to do is see how much movement they've taken place. Now, I do it this way. You don't have to do it the way I do it, but this is the way I do it. I first recognize where we are on the x-axis. We are at -1. The new figure is at +7. I personally don't like to count these because I lose the tick marks and the hash marks and all that good stuff. So what I like to do is actually put numeric amounts here, and then I can see. Now I can count these tick marks a little better, and then I can always double check to see. So if I count this over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then of course my numbers make sense. To go from -1 to 7 is a change of 8, so I've translated right 8 units. And in the same regard, I'm going to do the same thing with y. I like to take my y's, again, same way I did it. The point that I'm dealing with is at 8, and the new point is at -8, excuse me, and the new point is at -5. So I can do that math in my head. That's a change of 3. So we went from here to there, so we definitely translated up 3 units. Now, if you chose any point on this, it would have done the same thing. If I would have went from this point, for instance, that would be from -2 over to +6. That's a change of 8. You know, we had the point -7. It would have moved up to the point -4. That's a change of 3. Because this point was not rotated, just do one corresponding part and all of the other ones will follow suit. All right, so on this one, we're taking and we're moving our points and we're translating the entire figure. This has 5 points, so all 5 points need to be translated. I'm going to first start with this point right here. Sometimes these will be labeled. If I want to call this one A, we can call it whatever it wants. This is a generic thing, but for right now, I'm going to label this as A. And then I'm going to move this thing. Well, it's currently sitting at 2. So if I'm going to move this 5 units to the left, remember to the left is a subtraction. So I'm going to -5. So where I'm going is to -3. So this figure is going to move over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. I'm going to put an open circle because it does have 2 adjustments. And then I'm also going to move this down 1 unit. So this point will be sitting right here. So if the original point A was there, the image of this is going to be right there. And that's how we denote the image of it. Now I'm going to do the same thing with B. Now at this point, you can do it any way that you want. Some people get a little confused because this figure can, and in this case, will overlap from time to time because it will not get clear of the other figure, but it's okay. We're just shifting these over. So from point B, if it helps, I probably should have done this on the first one just to help myself double check. The ordered pair was 2, 9, and 8 is sitting at, B, excuse me, is sitting at 8, 8. So if I move 5 units to the left from 8, I will now be sitting at 3. Again, I don't really like to count these because I sometimes lose count or I count the same line twice, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I've already double checked. I should be sitting at the point 3, and I am. But I also need to go down 1 unit, so this would be my new B value. You do not have to label these A, B. I'm just doing this hopefully for your benefit because that's where the new B value is. Now at this point, you take and use your own strategy. Here's what my strategy would be. I can clearly see, I'm going to call this one C just to help you reference. It's sitting at 8, 2. But I like to think of it this way. It's 6 units below the other one. So the translation will also be 6 units below. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I like to double check with my math. So we were sitting at 8. If we're moving down 6, we should be sitting at 2. Excuse me. We were at 7. When we moved down 6, we were sitting at 1. And that's where we're sitting. I'm going to go ahead and start connecting some dots here just so I can keep my figure in line. There's A, B, just like that. Another method you could also do is continue the slope that you see. So in my original figure, I can see from this point here, it's going up 1, over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I wanted to get this other point, since it's the same figure, I could go up 1, left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And right now I would be sitting on that remaining, not remaining point, but let's just call it D because we're on a roll here, the point D. Connect the dots. It's always a fun game. And then again, the same thing here. It's really easy to slope on this because it's up 1 over 1, right? So I go up 1 over 1. That puts me at the last point. So we're sitting there. And I connect all the dots. Now I'm going to check to make sure the slope of this line right here is the same as the other one. Good way to check your answer, and it doesn't take a lot of extra work here. So let's count its slope. It went from A to the, I guess we'd call it E, from A to E. It went down 1, excuse me, the original went down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right 1. Let's see if our mirror image is the same thing. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in fact right 1. So this would be the translation. This would be the translation of our geometric figure. Lots of fun. I do like this section. Hopefully you will too.